The Germantown area of Nashville is a vibrant, hip neighborhood with lots going on. However, a few years ago, it was, well, challenged. Opening a business there was quite a risk, not to mention an upscale restaurant. However, Marcia and Craig Jervis saw the area, fell in love with it, and decided to pursue a dream. Rob Wiles paid a visit to the place that opened its doors a quarter century ago.
When Craig and Marcia Jervis opened their restaurant here in the Germantown area of Nashville many years ago, they were thought of as urban pioneers, planting a flag in uncertain territory. But it didn't take too long for their restaurant to get recognized. In Stephen Womack's book, for instance, Chain of Fools, he writes hard-boiled detective mysteries set in Nashville. Back in 1996, he wrote, "I raised my wine glass and tried not to slurp." Marcia had been to another wine tasting last week at a gourmet restaurant in Germantown, the Mad Platter. Just because the Mad Platter flourishes doesn't mean the journey was easy for Craig and Marcia.
It was hard. It was very, very hard. We were definitely a destination, and one of our earliest reviews said, jump in the SUV, throw the Uzi in the back, leave your zip code and come to a different zip code. And 25 years later, you look around the neighborhood and you can see how beautiful it's become. But for us, it was a very affordable real estate.
Real estate, a place to practice their craft, was important.
We actually met as on the road with Michael Jackson and his brothers in the 1984 Jackson Victory Tour. I hired Marcia as local catering help.
It worked out.
Steady and rewarding here at the Mad Platter. Now, the name came from Craig and Marcia's love of books, and it may seem a bit odd until you know some of the names they considered first.
The Marshall Plan.
The Marshall Plan. We thought that was a little too obscure. I wanted the groaning board, and Craig said nobody was going to get that. And I also had suggested the distended belly. So, as you can see, I think the Mad Platter is a little bit more palatable.
It is. The kitchen is the heart of the house. I need someone with good energy in here.
The energy coming out of the kitchen must be quite good if it's as good as the food, which is always delicious, interesting, and fresh.
We go see what's good and try and carry it in, put it on the table in front of us and make combinations with it. I guess you'd call that New American because we have influence from French, Chinese cooking, Thai. We're doing a mussel dish right now with green curry and ginger and coconut milk. It's hard to put a label on it. It's always been hard to put a label on it. We try and do what's fun for us and what our customers enjoy. And when it gets boring for both of us, we have the liberty to change that.
Sometimes we just walk in that day and go, I feel like New England clam chowder today. Can you make me some chowder today? And a lot of times what we were sort of craving that day will drive what the specials are. And we're also very fortunate that we're this close to the farmers market because our menu has always been very seasonal. From the very early days too, Craig really strove to buy local before it was even really cool to buy local, before it was even affordable to buy local. We tried very hard to do that, and we are very fortunate to be as close to the farmers market as we are, so we are able to take advantage of produce in the summer months to its abundance.
For 25 years, I've chided my purveyors for less packaging, local options. I'm proud to say I think I've influenced some of their decisions, and now when I ask them where is this coming from, they can tell me all this produce is from a 200-mile radius.
That emphasis on local foods and unique ideas is even more important these days. Celebrity chefs and a glut of cooking shows have made almost everybody into a foodie.
We ran out of duck on our menu one night, and I had to come out here and speak to a young customer who was probably about 6 years old, and he chided me that duck should always be on the menu. And I appreciated his input and thanked him for it. We try our best not to let that happen again.
Craig and Marcia know the value of a satisfied customer and a happy staff.
We have been very, very fortunate over the years to have had some fine people that worked with us here. Craig likes to say, yeah, they may leave, but they'll be back.
Yeah, they always come home.
They always come home.
Craig and Marcia like to think of the people who eat here as part of the family, too.
I want them to experience exactly what they'd experience if they came to visit me and Craig in our home. I want them to feel comfortable here. I want them to know that once they sit down, if they want to, they can set the entire lunchtime. It's their table. I want them to feel comfortable enough with us to be able to say, do you mind if I have that dish minus the such and such? And if that's the way you want it, and if we can do that for you, then I want to be able to do that for you. I want you to experience a meal in here just like you would experience in someone's home.
A home of good food and hospitality for the last quarter century. The Mad Platter in Nashville.